Cool. Right, so we are back on with someone who, I'm not going to lie, when I first started it, which camera's mine? That one. Why would it be that? What a start. We'll just go with that.
Go with the flow. Go with it.
Leave it, put it in the blooper reel. Yeah, so someone who, to be honest with you, I was saying before, I wanted to get him on well over a year ago, and then you went on another podcast, which I'm not mad at you for, but I've had to wait to get you on mine, which is all good. Liam Burbridge, Amputee Footballer, plays for Everton, plays for England, off to the Euros this year. I could reel off all the fucking accomplishments, mate. Thank you very much for coming on.
No worries, thank you for having me, because I'm just as buzzing to be here as you are to have me, so thank you.
Do you know what? It's weird, because I feel like everyone else the way me and you kind of met was different to, I suppose, how everyone else would know you, because I just complimented you in the gym, didn't I? Because it was fucking mega what you were doing. So, like, you'll understand the severity of this, Chris. So, like, he didn't have his leg on, and he was doing single leg barbell RDLs. Yeah. So I was like with a client, and a client pointed it out, and I looked and I was like, I've got to go and talk to him, because that is fucking, it's so hard to do.
100 kilo it was as well.
100 kg, mate. So I just went over and spoke to him. He was like, oh, I fucking follow you. And I was like, I think I follow you. And then, like, that's how it all started. But no, mate, like, since then, obviously, I think, was that just over a year ago?
Yeah, it was probably around that time, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously, I straight away then, I think, I don't know if I mentioned it to you there or went home and mentioned it to someone else. I thought he'd be a fucking sick guest to get on. But obviously, we've chatted last week about what to kind of go into, what not to go into. But I think we've got like a fucking belter episode lined up, mate, to be fair. So, how's things?
I'm good, mate, I'm good. Been busy as ever, like, you know, probably this month's been the busiest I've ever been, to be fair, like, but sometimes I find myself being better busy, do you know what I mean? If I sit around too long and think about things, then, but no, I'm enjoying it, mate. Like I said to you off camera, you know, we fly to the Euros in 2 weeks, so
yeah.
Buzzing for that.
That, mate, that must be so bizarre. I was talking about it to one of your mates this morning. Obviously, I'm going to digress a little bit here. But what's it like to, like, 4 years ago? Well, it was, wasn't it? 4 years ago, it was in lockdown. Yeah. 4 years ago, essentially, none of this was happening.
No.
You upload a video.
Yeah.
And I said last week, like, you upload this video, and essentially your life changed overnight. What's it like getting your head around that? Because essentially you went from, I'm in lockdown, I'll upload a video, I'm a bit bored. Next thing you know, you're fucking playing at the Euros, the Champions League, you're at Everton, what's that like?
Well, this all started just before lockdown, really, so I got myself in a bit of a bad position, really, where I was like out of shape and stuff like that, and then me and my partner had arranged to get married in 2020, and I went on like a bit of a fitness regime, do you know what I mean? And got myself into a bit of shape and stuff for like the wedding and the honeymoon and all that. The wedding never went ahead because of lockdown, but I thought to myself that I wanted to carry it on, do you know what I mean? I'd found myself in a better position than I was, so like you say, I just made a TikTok account, just doing keep-you-ups in my back garden and stuff like that, and at this time I didn't even know Amputee Football existed, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I played football all my life, growing up literally from the age of 6, 7, right up until I was 20 when I lost my leg, and you know, I had this idea where I wanted to get back into playing football, but I didn't know about Amputee Football, so my aim was to like join a Sunday League team, something like that, do you know what I mean? And then one of the lads who plays for Everton, his name's Jamie Oakey, he sent me a message and was like, I know you don't know who I am, but why don't you come and try Amputee Football with us at Everton? So I went down, tried it. The first session I ever went to, I actually played on my leg, but then I found out that the international rules of Amputee Football are that you have to use crutches and no prosthetics are allowed. So once I found that out, and I found that there was a progression to play for England, literally from day one I just thought to myself, like, there's an opportunity here to far exceed everything I would have done when I was able-bodied, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just not look back.
And mate, that must be so bizarre though, because like we were having a conversation about it last week, like it's almost like not football, because like a lot of it's on crutches, so you've got it's a complete shift, isn't it, of like it's not just your leg anymore, it's like you've got to get better with obviously your upper body strength, your crutches and stuff like that. Like, how long did it take to kind of...
I'd still say I'm learning now, honest to God, like, so that was why, so for the first couple of years what I was doing is I was playing football on crutches, and then when I'd go to the gym and in my everyday life I'd wear my prosthetic, because my amputation's below my knee, so I still have my own kneecap, so I'm quite mobile, really.
Yeah.
So I'd never really used crutches, and literally from the day I lost my leg, I used crutches in my rehabilitation and stuff, but when I got my first prosthetic, I just stopped using them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was only the beginning of 2023 when one of the coaches turned around and said to me, like, you know,
So this is recent,
yeah,
like a year and a bit ago,
yeah,
like last year.
He said to me, like, you know, you're walking around every day like there's nothing wrong with you, and then you're expecting your body to perform on crutches. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's when I started implementing the training on crutches, going for runs on crutches, sprints. Sometimes I feel like a fucking idiot in that gym running up and down that track.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? On crutches, but it all adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does, and it's like any other. It's literally like any other sport, which we'll get onto later on. But it's like any other sport. Like you train specific to that sport, isn't it? So, like if it's very crutch heavy, like it's only when you pointed out. Because obviously I've seen it on your Instagram and I've seen little bits on social media, but like it's only when you pointed out I thought, well, yeah, I suppose it's completely different in the way that you've gone from obviously using your leg to almost like using your arms more almost, because it's like a complete shift. Like you say, you do your sprints, you do your running, and it's all on crutches. It must be like such a mad thing to get your head around, because it's like it's like forgetting everything you know and relearning it all again, isn't it?
Well, going forwards, all right. It's when you're going side to side, backwards, when you're turning, that sort of thing. But you could speak to like the fitness team and stuff at England. A lot of the evidence suggests that, as I said, arm below knee, people who are above the knee or even at the hip, people who spend a lot more time on crutches in the day-to-day life, where there's lads at England there who are not able to wear a prosthetic leg because their amputation's so high, so they live on crutches, and there is a lot of evidence to suggest that they are fitter, faster than us because they're used to it every
day.
Just
day to day.
I mean? I mean, I think sometimes I'm quite lucky that I have a bit of respite, because at the end of a session or something, if my arms and my back are gone, like I can just put my leg on and walk off, whereas these lads have got to carry on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just segueing back to what you said there, so obviously you were 20 when you lost your leg. Yeah. Do you mind talking about that side of it? No. So I know how you did it, but how did it happen?
Yeah,
like for everyone that's watching.
I had a motorbike which I used to commute to and from work and stuff, and I was just out one day on my way to work, and I was going down like a country lane in Rainhill, and as I went round the corner, a car came around the other side, and it was literally like a one-lane road, and we just both seen each other at the last minute and went head on into each other. And you know, at that time I immediately knew something was wrong. Like I'd come off my bike loads of times. You can ask most bikers, falling off and stuff's quite a common thing, but I just knew immediately that something was wrong. And at that moment in time, I felt like I'd broke both my legs, and I didn't black out or anything like that because I had all my gear on, helmet, everything. But when I went head on into the car, I hit the windscreen of the car and went flying over, and I just remember lying there, and I didn't even try and move because, as I say, I knew something was seriously wrong then.
Did you break both your legs? Or was it just the one?
On my right-hand side, nothing at all. So I broke my left wrist, my left femur, my left ankle.
To break your femur, mate, must be... Because that's like... I think it's the most... It's the most solid bone in your body, Chris. I think it is, your femur. Say it's like breaking concrete, like
I was just going to say then, I remember at the time that like all the doctors and stuff was saying similar things, and I'm sure someone like said it's almost the strongest
unbreakable,
concrete.
Yeah. So to break that, mate, you must have been hit like at some force. Yeah, definitely.
But like obviously the amputation caused me trauma going on for the past few years and stuff after it, but my femur kind of like was in my head, do you know what I mean? And like I'd be sat in a car and I'd be sat there with my legs like this thinking, fucking hell, are we crashing out when my knees go? You know what I mean? Like, and, you know, so... But they didn't find out that I'd torn my spleen at first because of how badly broken my leg was. They only did a lower half of my body CT scan, so they sorted my leg out, sent me back up to the ward, and, like, I was really ill. I don't remember this. This is just what people told me, and the accident was on a Tuesday, and on a Friday morning, a doctor came back off his leave, and he said... What's this lad doing here? This lad looks like he's dying. So they rushed me for a full body CT scan, and then that's when they found out that my spleen was leaking blood into my stomach, and next minute I just woke up in intensive care. And
mate, it's a good job he seen that though.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I suppose like, if you've seen that, and the main thing is to obviously get the leg healed, get you fucking rested up and everything, and then... But yeah, it's just that. So obviously, I don't think you mentioned that to me last week, you know.
No.
So obviously there was some serious internal damage as well.
Yeah.
What was the recovery like from that? Because I know you mentioned you had a few operations, didn't you, where they tried to save your leg?
So I had I had 13 operations in 2 months whilst I was in hospital.
Jesus, mate, that's like one every fucking 4 days.
Yeah,
3 days.
Eight of them was just on my leg, but they did reach a point where they was saying that we have to be careful how much general anaesthetic we're giving this kid now and stuff, because, as you said, I was every other day, do you know what I mean? And like literally I'd be lay there and people would come to me, like doctors and nurses and stuff, and they'd be like, we've seen you 7 times already, and I was like, I don't even know who you are, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, basically I gained what's called compartment syndrome in the bottom half of my leg, and all the muscle was dying from the inside, so a lot of these operations were, they was cutting away the dead muscle, wrapping it back up, checking it the next day to see if it'd start healing, and it just wasn't. So I literally had, down the front of my shin, I had 2 big massive open wounds, and like I say, I was only 20, and all 20-year-olds think they're dead grown up, don't they? Do you know what I mean? But I was lay there and I knew how much I needed my friends and family, but I never looked at my leg because I knew how bad it was. And then one day a new nurse came in, and I had like just a blanket covering my leg so I couldn't see her, and she moved the blanket and I seen my leg, and it was just like a piece of meat in a butcher's window.
What was that moment like? Was it like, how was you feeling there? Just...
That's kind of when I knew, like, this has got to go, do you know what I mean? Like, I know that's probably a mad thought to have if you're not in that situation, but that was when I knew, like, there's no saving this leg, do you know what I mean?
How were your family through all this?
My family...
Not taking away from you, but, like,
no.
If it was my son, like, boyfriend, whatever, like, fucking packed for 2 months, like, 13 operations, mate, like, those 2 months must have felt like 20 years.
They did, and my mum and dad hated each other at the time, right? So my mum and dad was divorced, and long story, like, but they hated each other's guts, like, bad hated each other, and then that kind of brought the family back together again, you know what I mean? And they was all amazing, they all took shifts seeing me and stuff like that, and like, obviously in intensive care it was a little bit different because everybody there is really ill, do you know what I mean? So I could actually only have 2 people at a time visiting me, but there was a queue outside, and there was people turning up who had not seen for years, like coming for almost say the last bye to me, do you know what I mean? Like teachers from school, I was lay there and I couldn't speak because I was that ill, and I was just thinking, what are you doing here, do you know what I mean? Like, but I'd like to think that that's like a testament to me as well of how much people like me, do you know what I mean? But
of course it is.
I couldn't have done it without my friends and family. I get a lot of the limelight. People see what I'm doing and people see what I'm achieving, but even to this day I couldn't do it without my friends and family, do you know what I mean?
I think I think what you've just said is a testament to you, because a lot of people in your position who, let's be honest, mate, you've achieved an absolute shed load in the last like 3 to 4 years. It would be very easy if someone overnight went from a position you were in 4 years ago to going to the Euros, playing in the Champions League, playing for Everton, to just kind of sit there and be like, I'm fucking amazing, mate. But like, I think it says a lot about your character that you've sat there and gone, I wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah, no,
I think that says a lot about...
Even to this day now, like, I might be disabled, but I am fully independent. Like, I don't need nothing from no one, but my girlfriend's still there, and there are things that she does for me that she probably doesn't need to do, do you know what I mean? And with the going away, playing football and stuff like that, she's at home with the kids and stuff, do you know what I mean? So
this kind of segues really nicely into a point I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to try and deliver this in a way that's not offensive, but like, a lot of people probably see you now as Liam, the amputee footballer, not Liam, the human being. Do you know what I mean? So like, what does your whole, do you know what I mean? Like, we were speaking a little bit more about like your family and stuff last week. Like, a lot of people will know your journey, but no one really knows you, do they?
Yeah, no.
So like, you've got obviously your little lad and things like that. Like, tell us a bit more, like, personal life wise. You just said obviously it's a big deal, but like, has it been a struggle for them? How's that side of it? Like,
I think so. We've got 3 kids. My partner had a little boy when we met. He's 14 now. Like, he's getting big. Do you know what I mean? And then together we've got a little girl, Layla, she's 11 in July, and a little boy, Liam Jr., he's 9. But I've tried my best since he was born to not let it affect them, do you know what I mean? But you know, inevitably it does in certain ways. You know, they've never missed out on any opportunities. They've never been like, oh, we can't go there because my dad can't do it, do you know what I mean? I've tried to do everything, but you know, kids are cruel, aren't they? And there has been certain situations where, like, kids at school have said to my kids, oh, your dad's got one leg, or do you know what I mean? Like, so I think although I've tried my best to not let it affect them, I think it might have done in certain ways. You know what I mean?
I think you've probably done an amazing job from the outside looking in, but you can't help the fact that kids are just fucking kids,
course,
mate.
Yeah.
Like even when we were younger, like
Yeah.
some of the stuff I said, you probably said, you look back and think, fucking hell, like when you're ruthless, aren't you, when you were a kid? But like you say you've probably done everything you possibly can to keep everything away from them, but you can't really blame yourself for that side of it, can you? Do you know what I mean?
No, not at all. But they love it as well, you know, especially Junior, because
I was about to bring this up.
He's a big football fan, you know, and he, like, if his mate comes around or something, he's like, look at my dad's trophies, or do you know what I mean? So, and like the way he looks at some of my mates, I feel like he probably looks at me in the same way, but because I'm his dad, I don't notice it as much because he's used to me. But like some of my mates like Reece and Jay, he'll look at them and he's like, other kids look at Ronaldo and Messi. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, it must be. Yeah, but it must be boss though, because like I know I keep bringing it up, but like you genuinely are playing at the top level of your sport. Yeah. Like you go into the Euros, for goodness sake. Like you're playing for a Premier League team. Like you are that caliber, aren't you? So it probably sounds like, I know you said like, we'll cover it later on, but you've mentioned about the whole imposter syndrome type of thing, so it probably hits you a little bit there, but like you are like that level. So to him, like, because obviously he'll have watched like you kind of grow through all this, because for 20 years of your life you didn't know it, then obviously it's the rehab side of it, pulling yourself through it. So he's probably watched you grow to how good you are now, and also, well, let's be honest, in the last like 4 years he's watched you go from that to what you are today. So that's one thing I was going to ask. Like, obviously it's brilliant to hear how much your family means to you. Not such a silly thing to say, but like it is. Like it's brilliant to see how much it all means to you, and you've got that support system, and like it means so much to you.
But that's what it was like for me when I was growing up. Like I said, my mum and dad hated each other, but we never wanted for nothing. You know what I mean? Like we wasn't well off or anything, but you know, my mum and dad was amazing to me. So I felt like I didn't want my kids to miss out on anything.
It's a sign of good parents that. Like they might not like each other, but that's completely separate from the kids kind of thing, isn't it? Which is fair play to your mum and dad, mate. Like it does get quite toxic between with breakups and stuff, and obviously the kids suffer. So it's good, mate. It's boss of them, because obviously it's bled into you, which has helped your situation to be a good dad as well. Which kind of is a question I wanted to ask you. Obviously you mentioned before everything you went on with, obviously like when you noticed obviously your leg was just like in a position where you didn't think it was possible to recover. What's something or some things that like pulled you through this? Like knowing all that was going on, what was the driving force to I'm getting through this?
I think the biggest thing was before the accident, 2 weeks before the accident, we found out that Becca was pregnant with Layla. So I think from straight away from the off, you know, I was determined that, you know, I wanted to get better. Like I always say, an amputee's recovery is a little bit different because my leg's never going to grow back, is it? But, you know, you can make a bigger recovery as you can. And all my life I've been a confident, outgoing person, and it didn't change me really, do you know what I mean? So I've always been like, I'd set myself little goals and stuff, and that was my first goal. So the accident was in February 2013, and she was due in July 2013. So that was like my first goal, to be up and walking fully unaided for when the baby was born, do you know what I mean? But it was a crazy time in my life. Like honestly, like I said, we just found out she was pregnant. I was on floor 3 at Whiston Hospital. This was when I was out of intensive care and I was just on a normal ward, but I was on floor 3, maternity wards on floor 2, and they used to literally put me in a wheelchair, take me downstairs for the scans, and then take me back up to the ward. Do you know what I mean? It was crazy.
So you just like lived in there, really?
I lived in Whiston Hospital for 2 months.
That must have been like such a turbulent time for you, mate, because it's like, not that it must be difficult to kind of make. Obviously, you'll still be over the moon with that, like, but like obviously seeing your little girl like growing on the scans and stuff, but like it must be not a like, I can't think of the exact word, but I think you know what you're getting at, like to just go, just wheel us down, and I'll go there, and then. And
you know what, right? Honest to God, like I knew in my head how serious it was, and I just thought to myself, at least I'm still alive. Do you know what I mean? Like I literally, honest to God, from the moment of impact, I knew how bad this was, what had happened. Do you know what I mean? So I was just thankful to be alive. Yeah,
of course, and like I think it's well, look at where you are now. I know. Like it sounds stupid, and it's probably like it probably sounds like such a silly thing for me to say, but it probably could have been the best. It might have been the best thing that could have happened for you. Yeah. Because obviously you got 2 healthy kids now, and then obviously 3 kids in total, which I imagine you look at the other one like your kid as well. So you've got 3 kids, and then it's like you've got all the amazing opportunities now. Families like together, like it could be. You don't know how it could have gone if it went any other way. Do you know what I mean? Mate, that's so brilliant to hear. Honestly,
mate,
just from
I'm
like
a different person to who I was then. Do you know what I mean? Like I wasn't when I was 18, 19, 20. I wasn't necessarily doing anything wrong, but I was just pottering through life.
Do you think it made you grow up quicker?
I think it did, yeah. Because I didn't have any other choice, sort of thing. And as I said, I needed my parents at that time and everything. But there's only so much the people around you can do. It's you who has to, pardon the pun, pull your socks up and get on with it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
of course. And one thing you said to us last week, mate, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. I've got it wrote in my phone. Was one of your goals was when Layla went, was you could be standing up to take a picture walking out.
Yeah.
Did you get that picture?
Yeah. I mean, I've not got it here with me now.
No, let me bring it in a frame. Did you manage to get it?
That was like my first goal, because I know a newborn baby's not going to know whether you did that.
Yeah.
But it was like literally I wanted from the moment she was born to be at my best then. Do you know what I mean?
When she's older though, mate, like obviously she's only 11 now, did you say? Yeah. When she's older, mate, like in her 20s, and obviously when you're knocking on and you're an old fella, like it'd be boss for her to look back as an adult when she's going through her life and building her life, whenever that is, in 10, 15 years, and know just how much you grafted and pulled yourself together to have that picture. Because, like, I know they say, like, a picture speaks 1,000 words, but that one really does, doesn't it? Like, when you think about it. Going on to something which, obviously, we have mentioned, we're not going to get into it too deeply here now. But getting into the Euros, all that type of stuff, a lot of people will be shocked to hear. Yeah. And we'll behave, and we won't say anything too bad, like we were not really saying anything bad off camera, but a lot of people probably won't realise, mate, you're not funded, are you?
No, so you probably noticed by the badge, we're not the 3 lions.
It'll be on the camera so people can see.
As you see the men's and the lionesses, so we're not funded by the FA. So long before I was playing in 2007, they was funded by the FA, and then all of a sudden they just dropped the funding for whatever reason.
Why was that?
Don't know. I really don't know the definitive answer to that question, but there was a couple of guys at the time who turned around and said, like, we're not going to let this be the end of amputee football in England, and that's when they sorted out the England Amputee Football Association. So we're governed by our own FA. We have to do charity, fundraising, sponsorships, all that sort of thing to keep going. And I always say to, like, everyone that if you spent a weekend with us, you wouldn't know that we're not professional, because honest to God, the equipment and facilities that we have, and like there's as many members of staff as there is players, do you know what I mean? But they're all volunteers, they're all giving up time with the families and stuff like that. And at the beginning of this year, we was in a point where we didn't even know if we was going to go to these Euros, because...
Mate, that is... I can't get my head around that. Because as you said before, like, with your sport, your lads you play with and the other countries, you're top of the food chain in your sport. If you take that out for 1 minute and apply it to any other sport, basketball, football, rugby, and they went, you want to play? Yeah, cool. Raise your own money to play. Yeah. I can't get my head around that. Yeah. I can't get over almost the audacity of it.
Yeah, well, that's what we used to do. So at the beginning of the year, you'd be selected for the England national team, and then you'd be told you have to raise 1,500 quid for this year to cover your flights, accommodation, all that sort of thing. And that was a model that UEFA kept going for many years. And then our now head coach, Scott Rogers, when he took over at the beginning of 2023, he had the same outlook as us, and he was like, listen, I don't think that these lads should be going out and fundraising. They shouldn't be shaking buckets in Tesco, for their place in the England team. So we stopped fundraising, but obviously we carried on spending money, so we reached a point where all the money had gone, and at the beginning of this year, like I said, we didn't think we was going to go, but last June we won the Nations League, which was England's first major trophy in 34 years. And we was hoping that was going to change everything, but it didn't. It was kind of like, we did get some recognition for it, but it was kind of like swept under the carpet sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we're hoping the Euros will.
Yeah. Well, the thing that bothers me, mate, and I'm not going to get too emotional about it, but we live in an age now which is literally, no matter where you look, they talk equality, equal opportunity. This isn't it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's not.
No.
I like handouts get given to people who, I don't want to say they don't deserve it as much and they deserve it less. But when you've got the likes of you who has not even turned your whole life around, basically began a new life.
Yeah.
Completely swapped up your training, got yourself to where you are today. Why should you have to then do all that hard work and then fund yourselves to go?
Yeah.
And I think one thing, well, I'll let you bring it up, but you researched how much, was it the FA or was it the FA, the Premier League?
The FA.
The FA.
Yeah.
How much, so tell everyone, if you don't mind, how much they made and how much you need.
So as you know, I do a lot of TikTok and stuff like that, and, you know, TikTok's like a toxic place sometimes.
Yeah, it's
I
all
get
over
a
the place.
hell of a lot of support through TikTok, but I've also had trolls as well. And someone commented when I was on about this subject about not being funded by the FA. Someone commented saying something like, "I would rather our money go to kids football than a rude word for disability football." So I looked into the FA and the FA's profits and stuff like that. And in 2022, they made a profit of £650 million. So that wasn't just a turnover, that was a gross profit of...
Yeah, so they've netted that.
Yeah.
Like, that's the money they've took home.
100%,
Not turned it over.
Yeah.
That's everything paid for, expenses, and they've raked in 650 million.
To go to the Euros, where we're going in 2 weeks' time, we needed £30,000. You know what I mean?
It's honestly mind-blowing that is happening.
Yeah.
Like... When you look at everything, I've not got. You told me this last week, and I'm not going to lie. I've probably spoke about it 10 times this week. I cannot get my head around the fact, mate. My maths isn't amazing, but that sum or percentage, what if you 30,000 going into 650
it's a drop
million,
in the ocean, you know.
It is.
It
really is.
At the beginning of the year, when like the committee and stuff realised that we was in all this trouble with money and stuff, they sat us all down and explained the ins and outs of everything, exactly how much camps cost, exactly how much equipment costs, everything, and how much money we need going forward. And they reckon to fund our programme for a whole year would be 200 grand, and that would be comfortable funding our programme for a year. But a professional footballer can get that a week, do you know what I mean?
Mate, there's professional footballers who, I support United, so I don't really want to talk about, it's not a good time to talk about United at the moment, but there's players in our team who, mate, they're so frustrating to watch, who make over that a week.
And do you know what?
Do you know what I mean? You need it for a year, a full year.
But I think at the beginning of 2023, when we stopped fundraising, I don't think it was a coincidence we went and won the first major in 34 years.
Yeah.
Like honest to God, you might not think it, but it's a weight lifted off your shoulders that you're not thinking, I need to do fundraising, do you know what I mean? And
I was going to bring this up, but I'll let you finish and then I'll put my 2 pence on it as well.
Yeah. But like I said, it's no surprise because every other time, like I say, you're shaking buckets in Tesco and... Like, I wasn't too bad raising my money in my first year because it was new to everyone, so people didn't mind chipping in and sponsoring me, whereas lads who've been playing for years, they're asking the same people year in, year out, do you know what I mean? My mate Martin, this is his 16th year in the England team, do you know what I mean? So for 16 years, he's been asking his friends and family to support him, and it's mad. Yeah,
of course it is. And like I just said to you, like you said, it's no coincidence, but for me, like you just said, it's a massive weight lifted. But it's also time you could develop your craft.
Yeah.
Like the time that you turn around and you getting the content ready for social media, which content in itself is a job, which you know, because you churn out loads of brilliant content. But then you've got to plan the fundraising almost, and then you've got to like set up like maybe the GoFundMes or whatever it is that you're doing. Like you say, it's a mental burden, but it's taking away time that you could either be like resting, recovering, or like going out and training.
Yeah.
Like, in my head, and it's probably everyone else's head that's listening to this now, you should have the treatment of a professional athlete. It shouldn't be like I said to you before off camera. Like, imagine like the Euros. Does it kick off in 4 weeks for England?
Yeah, the men's. Yeah.
Like the men's one. Imagine like a Jude Bellingham, superstar player.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he goes, "You going the Euros this year, Jude?" It depends if I've got the money.
Yeah.
you'd never hear it. So I don't get why you're hearing it now. Like, there's other franchises, like, this isn't me, like, I'm, like, not bashing anything, but I think, like, the WNBA is funded and subsidised by the NBA.
Yeah.
So it's like they've give them equal opportunities, do you know what I mean? For, like, women to still play and still, like, obviously play their respective sport. So I don't get how, like, two things. I don't get how, number one, it's not happening. And two, like you say, it's a drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
So you turn around going, we need 20 million this year.
It's not just the FA though. This is a worldwide issue, but because it's not a Paralympic sport, we don't get no Team GB funding. You know, the lottery funds Team GB as well. We don't get none of that.
Do you think it'll change? I think it'll change.
Yeah, I think it will change in the future because if you look around the world, like in Europe, Turkey and Poland are both professionals, and you know, it's no surprise that Turkey are the current back-to-back European and world champions. Do you know what I mean? They're going for 3 majors in a row this year, and I don't think that's a surprise. But we've had to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
As well as working full time, and you know, I don't mind working. Like, you know, I'm not expecting to earn a lot of money. It'd be nice. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. But I don't think we should be denied opportunities just because of funding. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely not. Especially like when you've absolutely grafted to get there. And, like, in yourselves, like, not the term, I don't want to use the term disability, but, like, it's hard enough working around that every day. The last thing you want to be doing is finding something that you all love. Yeah. And then someone going, you're only going if you can get the money for it. It's a joke, really. But, like you've just said there, like, you mentioned last week, you've had lads from other countries that go, can I come and play for Everton with you? And you're turning around going, for what? Well, there's nothing here.
There's a lot of us who go and play in other countries. Yeah. So I've played for a professional team in Poland called Warta Poznan, and you know, they'll do your travel, accommodation, they'll pay you while you're there. But you know, there's people who, because they look at us, they see us in the Everton kit, the England kit, and they just think that England's a well-off country, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And you have to say to them, well, if you can make your own way here, whereas when we're going there, they treat us like royalty. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. But, like, is there anything at the minute that's getting done about it? Is there any kind of action plans to get around it, or is it just...
There are conversations going on behind the scenes. So when we was at the World Cup in 2022, a representative from the FA did come down and watch us. Well, came to Istanbul and watched us. They've been down to a couple of training camps, but we're in a position now where I know I've just been saying about how strapped for cash we are and stuff like that, but we're in a position there now where we was made an offer by the FA, and the offer that they offered us was less than we've got now, so they wasn't going to give us as much staff. They wasn't, like, we're going away with England twice this year.
It's like a compromise.
Yeah, again. They was only going to send us away once a year. They was only going to give us, instead of a full weekend training camp, because we'll go to Crewe on a Friday, stay over and come home on Sunday, it was just one Sunday afternoon session a month, which isn't enough when you're competing at international level.
Not when you're playing against other teams that are professional. Yeah. Like you've just said, is it Turkey and Poland?
Yeah.
Like you've just said there, it's no surprise that Turkey, like if they're going for the third in a row, it's no surprise when their athletes get treated like that. Like I just don't, like, again, that is so, it's the first time you told me that, but like reacting to it, like just from hearing it, why is there a compromise? Yeah. What is that? Why is it, it'll tell you what, we'll do this if you drop this. Yeah. Why is it meeting you halfway?
I think as well, not like me and my teammates who play now, because we're doing everything we can. Yeah. But I think participation's an issue as well. I mean, we only have 3 teams in the league at the minute, which is awful. Like, we've gone from 8 teams in the league to 3 teams because England used to let people use the prosthetics and stuff in the league. Yeah. And then when we came back from the World Cup in 22, because we didn't perform as well as we expected, like, we finished 9th, which when you think about it, the 9th best team at something is quite good, really. But, you know, we're in a position where we want to win everything.
Yeah, you want to kick on, definitely.
We came back and the committee decided to rule out prosthetics and say, well, the rest of the world is playing on crutches. Turkey, you're not allowed to use your leg in Turkey. You have to use crutches. Yeah. So, again, going back to bridging that gap, they said that it's crutches from now on. And a lot of people stopped playing, which is not only a shame for us, but it's a shame for them as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I always say in the conversations we've had, I'd never used crutches before, and now that I have, I think if you know them racing games where you race around a track and there's a ghost version of you.
Yeah.
I think if I could do that, I think I could run faster on my crutches than I can on my leg, which
I remember
is
you
crazy.
saying that, yeah. But like one thing I think is like staggering is like, was it 3,000 new amputees each year? Did you tell me last week?
I think it is.
6,000.
Yeah. And that was a couple of years ago, so
it
I'd be
might have
surprised if
even
there's more now. Yeah.
Well, I think like, obviously, like you say, if you've had someone who, if you rewind the clocks to Liam at 20, all this has just gone on. First of all, you're worrying about, are you going to make it through it?
Yeah.
And then secondly, it's like, well, I'm going to have to start my new life now.
Yeah. So
like, much like your son does, like, people will look at you lot and be like, that's a fucking inspiration. That's like, you was talking about a goal. That's a drive for me to get better. Yeah. And like, it's such a shame, mate, that like, one, we're having this conversation, and two, that like, their opportunity could be taken away from them, because they could like put all the effort in the same way you put all the effort in, and then if they fall short with funding, then they don't get it. It's like, I just don't get how this can happen in a world where there's so many handouts at the moment for so many different things. I'm not saying people are less deserving or more deserving. I'm not saying that, but why is it you're deemed not? Why is it you are deemed less deserving of it? Like, well, I don't get that.
One night I was watching, I think it was like England, Lithuania or something like that in a friendly, and at half time when the adverts came on, it was a nationwide advert, and it was a young boy on a pair of crutches kicking a ball, and it said football's for everyone. And I thought to myself, well, football's not for everyone, really, lie, because this advert, what you're showing me now, isn't helping us. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'd understand if like they did it and then you got a percentage of it, because that then makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think we've been quite politically correct there, haven't we? Yeah. We've gone around that quite well. Not to take it away, because that's what I mean. Like, don't want to take away from the fact that what you've got lined up is like epic in it. To be fair, how are you feeling going into the Euros?
I'm buzzing, to be fair. So I'm very still early on in my Amputee football career, really. Like, I'm in a funny position where I'm one of the older guys in the squad, but in terms of footballing career, I'm one of the youngest, really. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going into this Euros in the best position I've been in so far, and this will be my third major tournament for England, which again is mad, because I said to you in Costa the other week that at the beginning of this, I just thought I'd try it. Do you know what I mean? I never thought I'd reach this point. So to be in the position I am now, like, I'm absolutely buzzing. But again, it's all the hard work that goes in behind the scenes, isn't it, that people don't see? Yeah,
definitely. And like you say, it's a lot of the things that go on behind the scenes that we've just spoke about, which is a lot of people probably just think, well, he's got the training, he's got this, but you've got a million other things to worry about as well. How's things been on the run up to it? Camp been all right?
Yeah, camp's been good. Camp's been really good. So there's not been no issues. We went to Turkey about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and we had like a bit of a warm weather training camp sort of thing, and we played international friendlies against Uzbekistan, which I know they're not boss at mainstream football, but they're the third ranked team in the world. So they finished third at the last World Cup, so that was really good. We also played against the Turkish national team, which, again, you can't get no better practice than playing the champions, you know what I mean? And there was probably the most important games I've played in so far. You know, I've played in FA Cup finals, but the experiences I got from playing against the world champions, you know, you just can't explain sort of thing. So it's been a really good build-up. The year started a bit ropey, like, because as I said about the money and stuff like that, we was all worrying about where the money was going to come from and stuff, but... You know, we went on this morning, didn't we? ITV's this morning.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing, mate, I completely forgot to bring up,
thankfully, they sorted us out, like, do you know what I mean? So,
who was it that gave you the... didn't you get, like, a tour of, like, a stadium and stuff?
Yeah, so Everton have been quite good, really, but then again, I'm not sounding ungrateful, but it doesn't pay for our opportunities, does it? Do you know what I mean? But, like, we won... Last year, we won the FA Cup and the League, and they... give us like a parade of I think it was like Everton v West Ham or someone like that, and they invited us down, took us on the pitch at half time. It was quite cool because I took Junior with me, and we went on the pitch at Goodison Park.
Such a boss experience.
I had Junior on my shoulders walking on the pitch and stuff, which was quite cool. So
that's an experience you'll never forget, mate. Like, I remember the first time I went, the first football game I watched, mate, was United in the Champions League, and it was that long ago, mate. 4-1 was playing for us, so it was like 20 odd years ago. you'll know walking into a ground for the first time is like a magical experience. Walking in like on the pitch for a kid, that must be like such a mad experience.
Well,
for
United did the same thing when we came back from the Nations League. They invited us to with the trophy and stuff like. So that was quite cool.
To me, like you say, it is great, but at the same time, not to take it back to where we were.
No,
it is great, but at the same time, a bit of fucking help would also be nice.
We was all
you know what I
buzzing
mean?
at the time. We was absolutely buzzing because in last year's FA Cup, Everton won 4-2, and me and my mate Reece scored a really good goal where like he flicked it up to me, I backheeled it to him, and then he scored the goal. And there was a video that went viral on social media of Jude Bellingham, Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho all reacting to the video, and he was like, oh my god, the skills on that, the vision and all this.
I might have seen that goal, you know,
yeah,
on like them react videos. I had no idea. I've probably seen that video.
Yeah. And same again, at the time I was absolutely buzzing, but then thinking about it now and afterwards, I think like them players could do so much more to help us. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so in Poland, do you know Robert Lewandowski, who plays for Barca?
Yeah.
He's their like ambassador.
Yeah.
So like at all the events that Poland host, he's there like with his Polska flag and all that. Do you know what I mean? And that's all we need. Like it'd be nice if they give us some money, but just showing us some support would
a bit
make
of some like national pride and a bit of, and like I think, do you know what, mate? Like even if like we upload this and like as a reel or on TikTok and one correct person sees it, it could change.
I always say that it only needs one.
Well, yeah,
person.
mate, we could upload this, it gets a few thousand views, and one of those thousands of views could be somebody plays for the England national team, and they just go, "Fucking hell, I didn't know this. This is a disgrace," and it could just change from there. Do you see it changing?
I do see it changing, yeah, but like there's still a long way to go in England, I think, because this year, especially with there only being 3 teams in the league, it does feel like it's took a little bit of a step backwards sort of thing. But
was there more than 3 at one stage?
Yeah, there was 8 at one point,
and then they've just folded due to the same reasons. It's just mate, it's so disheartening that. Yeah, honest to
Arsenal.
God.
So at the beginning of this season, there was 4 teams. Arsenal was one of them. And obviously that crew from Arsenal's really far, isn't it? So they used to put on like a minibus for the players to come up, and Arsenal stopped funding the bus. And like I think to myself again that the club, the money that Arsenal Football Club have got, like, and they're on about a minibus for disabled people playing football. Like.
Yeah, and it's like, but you'll blow loads of money on like Kai Havertz and players like that, and pay the fucking hundreds of the wage bill per week for that first team. And then, like, you don't realise, but, like, the physios are on a fucking fortune, the coaches on a fortune. It's got to be tens of millions a week that gets spent. And it's a bus journey. Yeah. Like, it's just so sad, mate, that's what happens. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But hopefully, I can't see how it wouldn't change.
No.
I imagine, like, because to be honest with you, I'm not going to lie, if I was someone in a position of power in the FA or something, and I heard this, I'd be fucking embarrassed, mate. I'd honestly be so embarrassed that, like, 0.00001%, probably less of your profit would change everything.
Yeah. And I always say, like, it's not just about the football. Like, Amputee Football's changed my life in many ways. Do you know what I mean? I know I said that I've done well since the beginning of my accident, but, like, I was doing nothing for years. Do you know what I mean? And I thought I was happy, but when I look back now, I really wasn't. And Amputee Football's just given me a new outlook on life, and it's got the same power for other people. You know, I think there can't be just me out there who picks this sport up and is actually quite good at it. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely not.
It can change people's lives. Yeah,
and I think that's one thing we've not really touched on there is, like, if you have been through, like, someone like yourself, if you have been through your whole life, like, and then you lose one of your limbs and your life changes, people could get into a dark hole with that. Yeah, really. Like, you've bounced back from it amazingly well, and obviously you've had a fantastic support system around you, which we've discussed. But some people might not have that.
No, of course.
And this could be their one saving grace, really. And someone could, like, listen or watch you lads or whatever it is, and then they could, like, have the courage one day to just go, I'm going to have a go at this. Yeah. Like, it's so, like, we live in a time at the moment, mate, where mental health is, like, rife. It's getting worse by, like, the year. And, like, this one small thing could just, like, boom. Like you said, it changed your life.
Yeah, like, there's some banter that goes on in the changing room and stuff, and, like, it's very rare that you say to your mate, like, how you feeling, or how did you lose yours, or, you know, it is very, very rare you have them conversations. But there's just something mad about being around other people in the same situation as you. You know what I mean? And everyone's might be different. It might be their arm, the leg, above the knee, below the knee, but there's just something comforting about being with them people. Do you know what I mean? And like you say, if people have not got that strong of a support system around them, then Amputee Football could be that support system. Because, you know, at England, even at Everton, we want to win, but participation's key at club level. Anyone's welcome to come and join in. Do you know what I mean? It's only England you have to be selected for. You could literally turn up at Everton next week at training, and that's fine. We welcome you to come. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's more people getting moving, isn't it? It's combating this whole mental health side of it as well, mate. Going back to, obviously, cause we kind of discussed it before, but obviously, where you uploaded that video and then, what did you say?
Jamie, his name was Jamie.
That was it. Did you see any of this happening?
No, like I said,
has it just gone bang, or has it just grown into it?
Yeah.
Is it just?
If I'm honest, I feel like it's just gone bang. I feel like these past 3 years I've been playing football. Like, I never envisaged that I'd reach this stage in such a short amount of time. Do you know what I mean? And although it's amazing and great, and you know, it has been quite difficult to deal with, because as you just said, 4 years ago before lockdown, I wasn't doing none of this. You know what I mean? I was going drinking 5 pints with my mates down the pub and getting a kebab on the way home. Do you know what I mean?
I remember you saying that, and then obviously all that changes to like the way you are now.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, I'm fucking looking at you doing a 100 kilo deadlift in the gym. It's fucking crazy, mate. But it just goes to show, doesn't it, that like it only takes that to like fucking change your life overnight, so to speak. What do you see being next now then? Because obviously, mate, your journey's been epic. Like, it's been amazing. Like it's so crazy to get, because it is this simple. You've uploaded a video and your life changed. Yeah. Where do you see this going? I know it's hard to kind of like, because of what you didn't see it going like how it has. Like, it's gone amazing. Like, what do you think's next?
Well, to be fair, now I am in the position of playing for England and stuff. I'd like to see what's next is just a progression of what I'm doing now, because I won't lie, with England, I do spend a lot of time on the bench and stuff like that, and like most of my appearances, you know, I've made 15 appearances for England now, only 3 starts though, so a lot of my appearances have come from the bench and stuff. And I'd like to think that, well, since my accident, I've always set myself goals and done something, ticked a box and moved on. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas with Amputee Football, I've literally fell in love with it. And although I'm really proud and grateful that I've had these opportunities with England and stuff, like, I'm a really addictive person, and I don't want this to just be the end of it. So, like, when I went to the World Cup in 22, that was like my first one, and then we went to the Nations League, and then now we're here. And as I said at the beginning, I'm in the best position that I have been. I'm getting the most game time that I've ever had. But, you know, I want to play big parts in these tournaments, you know, and I'm like, even though we're going to the Euros in 2 weeks, I'm looking at the World Cup in 2026 and 2025 defending our Nations League trophy, and do you know what I mean? So, like I say, over the years, I've kind of ticked boxes and moved on, whereas now, like, I want to, before this chapter in my life with football is over, I want to have achieved everything I can. And like I said to you in Costa, if I'm just not good enough, then fair enough, but at least I can say I've tried. Yeah.
And do you see yourself staying with it for the rest of your life?
Yeah,
like, you know, like even after you've retired, you think you'll stay like coaching and things like that?
Yeah, so I do a bit of coaching with the juniors. So we take kids up until the age of 16, you know, and I do volunteer helping coaching with them and stuff like that. But I'd even like to think that when I'm not able to play for England, I still want to play in the league. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's
definitely.
as I said, anyone can play in the league.
What's the retirement? Is there an average retirement age?
Well, there's a guy at the moment called Dave Tweed, and he's the legend. He is the living legend who set up UEFA.
Shout out to Dave Tweed.
He is, honest to God, he's champion, and 47 he is, 48 he'll be in June.
And still going?
Mate, he's still best player. Honest to God, and he's going through a lot this year. He's got a shoulder injury and back injury and everything. Yeah. But, you know, I said to my dad the other day, like, after everything he's done for UEFA, he keeps saying one more. He's been saying that for about 10 years, do you know what I mean? But how nice would it be, like, no pressure and all that, but how nice would it be to send him off with this? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
is he retiring after this?
Well, we've got the Champions League in September. He plays for Everton with me, so... Right. I hope he doesn't, because again, that's another great opportunity for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Like it will be a good send off for him, definitely. But 48, mate, that's nuts. That.
And do you know what, mate? He's ripped. Honestly.
Is he?
Yeah, he's ripped. Telling you, mate.
You've got to be though, aren't you? Like, I suppose if you're still, Jesus, mate, some people can't fucking move at 48. Do you know what I mean? So if he's still playing at like that standard and he's that good,
he is.
He's got to be looking after himself.
He actually got player of the tournament last year in the Nations League. That's how good he is.
So what's like? I suppose your age is like that, innit? In your team, you must go from like 48 to 20 odd to 30 odd. Like, is it like that?
Yeah, we have a lot of. At the moment, we do have a very young team, to be fair, and I'd say like 6 or 7 of our 14. It's a 14-man squad. I'd say 6 or 7 of them came through the junior program, and they're from the age of 19, 20, 21, that sort of thing. There is a couple of lads similar age to me, and then Dave Tweed, who's an anomaly, to be fair. Like, he's amazing.
Is there anyone else like him, or is it just he's the one?
No, in the league there is. There's a couple of older guys in the league who are still good league players and still good at the game.
But they've slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, but with England there is literally just him.
That's crazy, mate.
And do you know what? He's also on the committee, so I
was about to say,
he sorts out all the money and all that and everything. When we go away, he's at the airport giving everyone's boarding passes out, and like he's like
so
he's the man.
Lives and breathes it. Like he'll definitely go into some like level of like managing or coaching, won't he? Like post career. How long's he played for?
20 years, I'd like to say, maybe a little bit longer.
So he's been in it for a fucking while, and I need to be fair.
But he's been massive for me because he plays striker, same as me, and like I'm never going to be the same as him. But like the amount that I learn off playing with him, not only at England but with Everton as well. Do you know what I mean? And I'd like to think that when he does eventually hang his boot up, then I'll take his place.
I can't deal with these fucking quotes you're coming out with. Pull your sock up, hang your boots up. These puns are brilliant. But mate, with obviously like you've just mentioned there, like he's obviously you've got the Champions League and stuff. Like it must be, mate. It must be so mad because like obviously I've grown up watching football. And like you now playing that kind of like bracket, do you know what I mean? Where do you see like more teams? Like obviously the Premier League is like 20 teams. Do you see that happening? I hope it does.
Yeah, I do. Especially like because as I said, there was more teams involved. It was just participation.
Mate, if people listen to this now, this would light such a fire in people's bellies to be like, let's fucking get this going. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm hoping it does. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm hoping like we just like I know we've got the podcast, but if we just cut these bits out and upload them, because I think it'd be brilliant. Like, and it'd be like a snowball effect, wouldn't it? Like one team, then 2, and then 3. Before you know it, you've got like a full, and then there's more attention on it. Then and that could be, like I say, I can't see how it won't.
But you don't even have to. So with England, there's a level of expectation for us to try and implement that professional lifestyle into our daily lives. Whereas playing in the league, mate, you do what you want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I said, it's anyone is welcome to come and play in the league, and we need as many people playing as we can. To be fair. Yeah,
definitely. And in terms of like obviously the next steps, like you just said there, you've got goals that you've got to set and stuff. So what is your next goal? Just to kind of get more caps under your belt, or?
Yeah, and get more caps under my belt. Score my first goal for England because I've not done that yet.
Have you not?
But no, to be fair, I've scored quite a few. To be fair, for Everton in the league and stuff, but I've not yet scored for England. So that's one of my first goals.
Yeah, that'd be so mint to get that done. To be honest with you. But like, is there anything outside of football? Because I know we've spent the majority of this talking about football, which obviously we were going to because of like the heights that you've reached. But have you got any goals outside of that? What's kind of next for you? Because I know we wanted to kind of have the balance of Liam and Liam the football, didn't we? So like, have you got anything lined up going ahead, or have you just football for now?
I went back to college in September, and I was doing an access course because I didn't do my A-levels when I left school, so went back to college in September doing this access course. Literally got a couple of weeks of that left, and then it's off to uni in September. So yeah, I've got a conditional offer at Salford University.
Happy days, mate.
For physiotherapy. So
brilliant. So then you'll have Everton, England, physio, your job, your kids. I don't think I know anyone else that busy.
But obviously the idea is that like it might be a hard few years now while I'm studying again and stuff, but then obviously once I'm done, I won't be studying, and then my job I'm doing now I can replace with being a physio, hopefully. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think you respond? This is like one thing, is like, because I'm like this. Do you think you respond better when you're busy?
Yeah.
Do you think your head's better when you're busy?
Yeah,
I struggle when I'm not as busy.
Yeah, and like I say, for them years after my accident where I wasn't busy, I went back to work and I was working and everything, but that's all I was doing, work. Whereas, like you've just said, the amount of things I'm doing now. But I definitely think I respond to being better when I'm busy, because, you know, I sit around too long. That's when you start thinking about crap, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, mate. Definitely. So how long's your physio course?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
And that's it, done and dusted then.
Yeah.
Well, mate, it sounds like you've got some fucking mint things lined up, like the Euros in a couple of weeks, and then where is it? Is that France, isn't it?
France,
that you're playing? How long are you there for? Is it the 4 weeks?
10 days.
10 days.
But same again. So like,
because I thought it'd be like well longer than that.
Yeah, we'll play a game every single day.
Is it?
Yeah.
Jesus, mate.
Yeah, we'll literally, our first group game will be on the 1st of June, and the finals on the 8th of June.
Wow.
16-team tournament in 8 days.
That's nuts.
And that'll be the same with the Champions League when we go in September. So obviously, in mainstream football, the Champions League's played throughout the season.
For those who haven't seen it, how long are the games?
50 minutes, so it's 25 minutes each way.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, when we play for Everton, we play at 12:30 and 2:30. So we play Chelsea at 12:30, and then we play Portsmouth at 2:30. So
they're like the big boys, aren't they? Portsmouth in your league, what were you saying last week?
That's like 100 minutes of football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100 minutes of doing anything is rough, mate. 100 minutes of fucking going for a walk is enough for me in the morning.
The Champions League will be played over a weekend as well. Like, literally, again, a 16-team tournament in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, mate. That's such a hectic schedule. I thought it'd be... I thought it'd be spread out well longer.
Yeah.
No, so you had more... But yeah, that's like... Well, that's like everything done in like... Bang, 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 7 days.
Yeah,
like,
the World Cup, we was in Istanbul for the World Cup, 10 days, 32-team tournament. Do you know what I mean? Like,
what are your plans for after the Euros?
Well, after the Euros, everyone was like looking forward to a break and stuff, because literally since the beginning of last year, we've not stopped, because we had the Nations League in June. We was working towards that, and then we knew that, like, we didn't really have a break. The build-up to the Euros started then, do you know what I mean? So for the past 18 months, we've literally been working, but we've got the FA Cup final, which is live on TNT Sport, used to be BT Sport. That's on the 27th of June.
That's brilliant that that's on there, though.
Yeah,
that's really good that that's on there.
But there's a few, there's like the cerebral palsy final, the power wheelchair final, like it's a full weekend where TNT Sports will show every game on TV, which is really good.
That is brilliant, because if it gets coverage, which I imagine it will, like hopefully that like opens some eyes then, and it just starts to get. Because mate, if it's something like TNT, because they've got everything. Yeah. Isn't the Champions League on TNT Sports?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, they've got everything. So like, all the mega games they've got. Yeah. So like, if it's on there, mate, it's clearly causing enough noise, isn't it, for it to happen?
In 2022, there was a tournament. I wasn't in the England team at this time, and there was a tournament in Poland. So the England team was away, and because of the way telly is and stuff like that, it was Man City v Portsmouth in the final. It was BT Sports then.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of players in the England team who couldn't make it, so what the league decided was they was going to take quite a few of us on loan for each team from other teams.
Yeah.
So I played for City, and we won 1-0, and I scored the goal. And I'm not lying, mate. I scored. I knew I was on telly, and I felt like crying, and I was running back to the centre circle, literally trying my hardest not to cry, because I just thought to myself, I have just scored on BT Sport, do you know what I mean? Like, and then, you know, mate, I cried all the way
I've just got goosebumps listening to that. That's class.
We won 1-0, trophy lift, all that, medal, and literally I was crying all the way home, like good crying.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
But
that's what I mean, though, mate. Like, that's like that close, isn't it?
Yeah.
To like just happening constantly. Yeah. Like, it's just. I hope like it just obviously manages to push on from here, and that like it just the right people hear it, and it starts to get like the correct things from there. But mate, it's been an absolute fucking pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
It's been, how long have you been going here? Over at
mates
for like 10 minutes.
God, I feel like I could carry on going and going and going. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've probably not done the last 10 years justice by saying what I've said. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much more I've achieved, and there's so much more I want to achieve.
So I mean, I was mindful of the time, because we all get so long on the cameras, but when you were talking, I was just like, just keep going. Like, this is fucking amazing to listen to. But, mate, I really appreciate you getting on.
You.
And hopefully, mate, if you've still got loads to speak about, maybe get you back on after the Euros and we'll go from there. But I really appreciate your time. So thank you very much for getting on, mate.
No worries, thank you.